Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kelly, and for today's video I'm going to be telling you guys my top 23 reads of 2023. Also, a couple things we need to talk about before I even get into this video. Both this video and my December reading wrap up are going to be late. Obviously, they're already late. It is currently the 5th of January. I actually got sick like the first day of the year. And this is the first day where I actually got ready a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? I've had these books sitting here for like 6 days now. I actually tried to film this on New Year's Eve. And like the lighting just was not, I was not having it. So I was like, you know what? I'll just film it tomorrow. Little did I know tomorrow I was going to end up really sick. And here we are. So please excuse my voice if it annoys you. I am so sorry. There is nothing that I can do about it. And if you guys just want to see a visual of my top 23 reads, you can definitely check out my Bookstagram. I'll have it linked down below if you don't want to hear me talk. But yeah, I need to put these books away. And I'm really sorry that these videos are getting put up late. Also, as for my January TBR, I haven't even read anything yet, obviously, because I've been sick. So I think for the first month I'm just going to mood read, and then when we get into like February I'll continue doing like the TBR prompts. So that's that. There's not really going to be any order to these books except for like my tops, which I'll tell you guys about later. If I have to take any breaks because I have to blow my nose or get a drink of water or whatever, that's that. So let's get into it. So the first book I have here is actually a reread. This is Beach Read by Emily Henry. And I actually did a reread just so I could like annotate this book, and it remains a 5-star. I absolutely loved this book and these characters. Such a good story. I'm definitely going to be rereading it again this year because this is definitely my favorite Emily Henry book of all time. Love January, love Gus, and I loved their story so much. Also, I'm going to have to be dealing with Oliver because he wants out. Hold on one second. Alright, we're back. So the next book is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So you're basically following a band in the late 60s. And they kind of give me Fleetwood Mac vibes. And I've honestly never read a book like this before. It's actually in like interview style, so you have like all the different characters' names and then like what they said, and basically get to see what happened to the band and why they're not together anymore. And the ending of this book absolutely ripped my heart out. I remember like sobbing, and even like watching the show had me sobbing at the end. Like even me knowing what was going to happen, I still was crying. And I don't know, I just loved the female representation in this book, and I loved the band and getting to see their story, and I don't know, I loved it. And honestly, watching the show made me realize how much I loved the book. I already gave it a 5-star before I watched it, but like watching the show made me realize, wow, like this is like an infinity star book. And I'm definitely going to be rereading it because I love the characters. Definitely more character based, I feel like, than there is a plot, but like definitely more like you get to feel for the characters and their story. So I really loved this book, and I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. Her writing is so smooth that I feel like I fly through her books. So I definitely loved this book. Next we have Daisy Hates The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. This is the 4th book in the Magnolia Park series. This book is following Daisy, Christian, and Julian. I definitely prefer Daisy and Christian over Magnolia and BJ. I still love their books, but something about Christian and Daisy, I love them so much. And Julian is definitely one of my favorite book boyfriends. Just the quotes in this book and Jessa Hastings' writing is just so poetic and so beautiful. And I felt for these characters. I need to know more. I need the next book as soon as possible. I gave this book 5 stars. It's definitely my favorite in the series. Next we have Hothouse Flower by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the, I don't know, book in the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. This is following Daisy and Reich, and it is age gap. It is just such a cute romance, and you get to definitely see more of Daisy and what she like struggles with, and I definitely felt for her, and I loved her. I love the found family in this book. I love the series with my whole heart. This book is definitely my third favorite in the series. I really loved it. Next we have Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer. This is a second chance romance. We're following Kennedy and Jonathan. And Jonathan is basically like, he plays like a Superman in a movie. And you get to see Kennedy and Jonathan in high school. So like past and present timeline. And then you get to see like what happened to them. And he tries to like come back into her life. And she is raising their kid as a single mom, and I don't know, this book was so cute. This book is definitely, if you've ever heard Tolerate It by Taylor Swift, this book, like that song reminds me of this book. I just loved, and normally I'm not a fan of kids in books, but I loved the girl in this book. She was so cute and so funny, and I loved the storyline. I don't know, such a good book. I don't know what I rated this. I don't think I rated it 5 stars, but it was pretty close. Next we have Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Chestnut Springs series. This is following Cade and Willa. So basically, Cade is Rhett's from the first book's brother, and Willa is Summer from the first book's best friend. And Willa is looking for a job, and Cade is looking for a nanny to babysit his son because he works on a ranch. And Summer was like, hey, I know someone who can do it. So she sends Willa there, and it goes from there. I loved their story. I love Willa so much. She's such a boss, and she's such a funny, like, witty character. And Daddy Cade, that's all I gotta say. The spice in this book was chef's kiss, so good. And this book definitely made me fall in love with ranch cowboy men. Same with the first book, honestly, but I liked this book a lot better than the first one. I gave this book 4.75 stars, I believe. This book had me laughing, had me kicking my feet. I don't know, I really, really loved this book. I'm sorry if I repeat a lot of like the same like phrases for each book. I don't know what else to say. I don't really want to spoil anything, so I'm trying to describe these books as best as I can, but I'm not the best at doing that, so just stick with me. Alright, next we have the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. This is actually a 5 books in one, so it's like pretty thick. But all books are like a little bit over 100-ish pages, and I honestly flew through this book. Not every single book in here was 5 stars, but overall this is definitely a 5-star series for me. I don't know, I just loved the character. So you're basically following Lana, and she is a serial killer, and then you are following Logan, which is the FBI agent that is on her case, and it just goes from there. You get to see into Lana's past and what happened to her, and it just rips your heart out, and it really makes you feel for her. And you know what? I support women's rights, but more importantly, I support women's wrongs. So I really loved the story, and I really felt for her. And she's just a queen. She can do no wrong. Alright guys, so the next book is Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. I can't say too much about this book because this is the second book in the Boys of Tommen series, but you're basically following Johnny and Shannon, and this takes place in Ireland, and it is a high school romance. So basically, Shannon has to switch schools because she is getting bullied, and so that's basically like what starts off in like Binding 13, so I can't really say too much about this one, but just following their love story and the found family in this book, my heart just, the emotions I went through with this book is why I did not continue yet. I'm definitely going to be continuing it soon, but I've heard that the other, like Joey and Aoife's books are way more painful than these, and these actually broke my heart. So I'm like, way more painful? You're telling me I'm gonna go through way more pain than I did in these books already? But yeah, I love Johnny and Shannon. I'm really excited for Claire and Gibbs's book. I feel like they're going to be my favorite, but I'm still really excited to read Joey and Aoife's story. Also, if you hear the vacuum, my mom is deciding to vacuum when I first decided to film a video. So, we're dealing with it. Next, we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. So you are following Oraya, and she is a human in a vampire world. And there's this thing that takes place called the Kachari, and there are a bunch of tournaments, and whoever is last alive, gets a wish from this higher up goddess. I don't remember her name. But yeah, that's basically the story. I loved Oriah, and I loved getting to see her background, and she was just a baddie in my opinion. I loved her so much. And then you also meet Rain, which is a vampire, and you get to see a little bit of their story in there. And yeah, I feel like I was torn between if I liked this book better or the second book. I still can't really tell, but I think I liked this book just a little bit better, just because you get to like set up the story and it's like the first one. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but I think this one's my favorite. I loved Oriah, I loved Rain, and I'm super excited to read more of Carissa Broadbent's books because I really love her writing and I love her characters. So that's that. Next we have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. So this is following Brianna and Jacob, and I absolutely loved the anxiety representation in this book. I honestly really clicked with Jacob. Like, his thoughts I feel like are my thoughts, and I really connected with him, and I loved this love story. But basically, they are both doctors, and they kind of communicate through letters because Jacob is more shy. And yeah, I don't know, I really loved their story. I didn't know if I would love her writing after Part of Your World just because I didn't like the female main character, but I definitely loved this book way more. I think I gave it like 4.25 stars. Really loved this book, and I loved the characters. And there were some really good quotes in here. I remember highlighting one. Let me see if I can read it to you guys. Here we go. We're all a little broken, Brianna. We are a mosaic. We're made up of all those we've met and all the things we've been through. There are parts of us that are colorful and dark and jagged and beautiful, and I love every piece of you, even the ones you wish you didn't exist. I don't know. I love them as a couple, and I love them separately. I don't know. I just really loved the story. And yeah, so good. These two are going to go together, even though I'll tell you guys which one I liked better because they're part of the same series. So we've got the Ballad of Never After and A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This is a part of the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. These are my two favorites. I definitely liked the second one better than the third one, but I still loved the third one. I can't say too much because these are the second and the third book of the series. But I love Ava and I love Jax and I loved their story. The ending of this book was so rude because I had to wait, what, like 6 months, I think? I'm trying to think when I read this book. Maybe it was longer than 6 months. I forget, but I had to wait a long time from the ending. The way this book leaves off, the cliffhanger, I'm like, you expect me to wait to find out what's going to happen to these characters? So getting this book, oops, that's upside down. Getting this book was so relieving, and I loved the way that it ended, even though there are some things that I probably would change. But I still loved it, and I love these characters. I don't know. Something about this story is so magical. It's different from any of the other fantasies I've read before. It just feels like magical. That's honestly the only way I could describe it. I loved getting to read these books, and Stephanie Garber's writing is amazing, and I definitely want to check out her Carval series. I know I should have probably read those books first, but I wanted to read these first. Also, can we talk about this cover? Like, look how beautiful. And then the back says, "May the best villain win." Stunning. This book is absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I think I gave this book 5 stars. I think I gave this book 5 stars as well, but I think I would give this more like, compared to this one, I'd probably say like a 4.75 because I love this book way more. The romance and the story and the plot was just so good. And like I said, the ending left me like open mouth staring at the wall for like 20 minutes after I finished the book. So yeah, I absolutely loved those. Next we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. So it's kind of hard for me to rank Emily Henry's books because they're all so good, and they all make me feel like this book made me sob my eyes out. So emotional. It just shows you that like friendships grow apart, like you're all doing different things at different times, and how you can come together and kind of like talk about those things and try and work through those things. I don't know, this book was beautiful. But you're following Harriet and Wynne, and they basically, they're in the same friend group and they all get together like every summer, and they have been together for a while, but they actually end up breaking up, and they have to go back and meet up with their friends, but they don't tell their friends that they're breaking up, so they have to fake, like, act like everything's okay and like fake date. So that's all I'm gonna say. I definitely would recommend you read this if you haven't already. It's so good. I definitely want to do a reread, because I feel like when I first read this book I like flew through it, and I definitely want to go back in sometime this year and do another reread of it because I loved it so much. I don't know, Emily Henry's writing, I would read her grocery list. I absolutely love her books so much, so definitely read this if you haven't already. It definitely made me cry, made me feel for the characters. So good. Next we have The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I read the Dead Romantics, I think in the same month that I read this book. That's how much I was loving her writing. But you are following Clementine, and her aunt ends up passing away. So she ends up staying in her aunt's apartment, and her aunt's apartment, when she's in there, she ends up seeing a guy, and he lives 7 years in the past. So, or the future. Yeah, in the past. I don't know why I was second guessing myself. 7 years in the past, so you get to see that story, and this book had so many beautiful quotes. Let me read you one. I loved how a book, a story, a set of words in a sentence organized in the exact right order made you miss places you've never visited and people you've never met. That's just like one of the quotes in here that I loved. I loved so many, and I loved Clementine, and you're also... What was I going to say? I forgot, honestly, what I was going to say. Yeah, you're following Clementine, and I loved Iwan's character as well, and their romance, and it was just so beautiful. Honestly, it was so much more than a romance to me. It was about grieving and knowing that it's never too late to switch up, like, a job if you're not happy in what you're doing. So yeah, I really loved this story a lot, and I loved the characters. I definitely will be reading every single book that she comes out with, because I've loved every single one that I've read of hers so far. Alright, next we have the... What book is this in the Throne of Glass series? The 5th book? The Red Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Assassin's Blade, Airfire, Queen of Shadows. Yes, this is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series. I can't say too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. You are introduced to so many new characters in this book, and this book is what made me like really fall in love with every single one of these characters, and I absolutely adore this book. Can't say too much on that one. Alright, next we have Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is the 4th book in the Chestnut Spring series, if I'm right, I think. Now I'm second guessing myself. So there's Flawless, there's Heartless, there's Powerless, and there's Reckless. Yeah, and then there's Hopeless. This is the 4th book. Oh my goodness, how many times am I going to second guess myself? But you were following Theo and Winter, and I honestly didn't think I was going to love this book as much as I did, because it is a surprise pregnancy trope, and that's not really my favorite to read about, but I absolutely ate this book up, you guys. I'm not even kidding you. I think I read this book in like a day and a half. Maybe 2 days. Something like that. But I flew through this book, and I tabbed this book like crazy. I loved getting to see more of Winter's story, because you don't really like her in the first couple of books. But getting to see like what she went through and kind of like her redemption arc, I guess you could say. I loved her character. I loved Theo. The way that Theo showed how much he cared and loves Winter just melted my heart. Theo is definitely a top book boyfriend of the year. I absolutely adored him. I absolutely adored the story, and they're my favorite ever. So I love them. 5 bajillion stars. Next we have one of the first books that I read in 2023, and this book has stuck with me the whole entire year. I need to do a reread once I'm feeling better, because this book is perfection. So, Still Beating, obviously, by Jennifer Hartman. I feel like I've talked about this book a lot on my channel, but this is following Dean and Cora. This is a dark romance, so please, please, please check your trigger warnings, 18+. A lot of dark stuff that happens in this book. But I've told you guys what this is about a billion times. I'll tell you again. So Dean and Cora are enemies. They hate, I don't even want to say enemies. They just really don't like each other. Dean is about to marry Cora's sister, and they always like play a lot of pranks on each other and stuff like that. But one night Cora is at a bar and she ends up losing her wallet, so she doesn't have any money to get home. So she ends up calling everyone on her phone. No one's picking up. The last person she has to call is Dean. Dean's like, I'll be on my way, I'll be right there. So when he gets there, they are about to leave and they both end up getting kidnapped together. That is the essence of this book. I don't want to say too much, but the healing and just the way that you see like their love form and the things that, I don't know, just the way that they helped each other get through this like really hard time. Just such a beautiful book. The story was so beautiful. I love them so much. I think about them constantly. So this book is a favorite of all time. Alright, now we're getting into my top 6 books. My top 6. These are in order. None of these I feel like are in any order, but these I'm going to tell you guys are like my top favorites of the year. I'm trying to reorganize them because I have them backwards. So first we have The Right Move by Liz Tom Ford. This is the second book in the Windy City series. This is following Ryan and Indy. So Ryan is Stevie from the first book's brother, and Indy is her best friend. So Indy needs a place to live, and Stevie asks her brother if she can move in. I need a water break. I'll be right back. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, we were talking about The Right Move. So you were following Ryan and Indy needs a place to live. So Stevie tells her brother, like, please, can you let my friend, like, live with you? She actually went through, like, a really bad breakup. And Ryan is more, like, of a closed-off kind of guy. So he's like, no, like, I don't want to. Takes a lot of her, like, repetitively asking him. And he's like, all right, fine. So she moves in. And it goes from there. I loved their story so much. I love Indy. She's, like, such a girl's girl, and I love that in a FMC. And I loved Ryan. Just the way that he showed his love for Indy and like the little things that he did for her. Like he like braided her hair when she was sick. She also loves coffee, so he would put like coffee in the fridge so when she was ready to have it, the ice wouldn't like melt, so it would already like be cold. I don't know, just something about that was just, it warmed my heart as like a coffee lover. So yeah, he showed his love in a more like quiet kind of way. He's not as like loud and profound with his love, but he definitely really loves and cares for Indy, and I don't know, I just loved getting to see their story. I loved this book way better than Mile High. I think I gave Mile High like 3.5 stars, something like that. The beginning of that book kind of like frustrated me, but yeah, this book is definitely my favorite. I need to read Caught Up soon because I haven't read that one yet, but the tabs say enough. I loved this book and I loved the characters a lot. Next we have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. So you are following Peyton and Kai, and the banter in this book is top tier. Oh my goodness, you've got knife to the throat, who did this to you? Oh my goodness, just so many of those like tropes that you love in books. So good. The banter, these characters, so amazing. The storyline. The ending of this book was like, I need the next book. There's nothing else to say. Go read this book. Go read this book. So good, guys. Like, even if you're not like huge into like fantasy, because it is a romantasy, even if you're not into fantasy, there's enough romance in here that I feel like you won't mind it. So please go read this book. You will not regret it. Trust me. I need the next book now. I'm so excited for Reckless. Alright, now we're getting into my top 4. Like, these are like my top books of the year. I don't know how I want to rank these. Alright, I'm just going to go with the order I had them in already. Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 7th book in the Throne of Glass series. The ending in this book destroyed me. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. I was sobbing. I could not see for a long time. I could not stop crying. Like, the ending of this book was so mean. Sarah J. Maas, I'm talking to you. This book, the ending was so uncalled for, and I was not expecting it. It broke my heart, and I was like, I need to read the next book immediately. just so many things happened in this book and so many things were explained, and it had me binging this book. I feel like I read this book pretty quickly, even though I was tandeming Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. I just loved these characters and the storyline that this book was following. I can't say too much because it's going to spoil things, but I love these characters so much, and this book is of Roman Empire. I think about this book all the time. I'm not even kidding you guys. And then we have Addicted After All. This is the last book in the Addicted series, following Lily and Lo, aka my favorite couple of all time. I love them so much. They are my children, or my parents, whatever you want to say. But yeah, I loved them. I can't say too much. Well, actually I can. I can tell you guys how much I love these characters. They feel so real to me. Don't tell me they're not real, because they are. I'll protect them at all costs. Let me not get excited. I need to take another break. Alright, I think I'm going to talk about my top 2 favorite books at once, because they are both last books in a series, and I don't know if I can rank which one I like better. Actually, I probably know which one I like better, but I'm going to show you guys them both at once. So we've got Kingdom of Ash, which is the last book in the Throne of Glass series, and Some Kind of Perfect, which is the last book in the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. So if I had to rank, this would probably be 2, this would probably be 1. Just because these characters feel so real to me and I'm so connected with them, because we were written together for what, like 11 books, I think, something like that. These characters are real. I will not take anything else. Look how much I tabbed this book. Like, I tabbed the crap out of it. I annotated so many things in this book because I love the characters and I don't want to let them go. I think about them constantly. They are my friends. They are my family. And yeah, I love them. 5 bajillion stars. This book is perfection. I love this book so much. I love the characters. Roman Empire books. So good. This book took me on an emotional roller coaster. It had me sobbing my eyes out at some points where I couldn't even see what I was reading, so I had to like take breaks and come back. But yeah, I loved it, and I will think about these characters forever. All of these characters forever. So good. So yeah, those are all of my favorites of the year. I got through this video recovering from being sick. Also, if you hear Oliver, please ignore him. He wants out. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my top reads of the year. Also, I'm really sorry that I sound terrible. I needed to get this video filmed so I could put these books away because they've been sitting here for far too long. But thank you guys for watching. If you've made it all the way in this video listening to me, I give you props. So thank you so much. If you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, thank you so much for 300 subscribers. I don't think I've thanked you guys yet, which is crazy. I love you all. Let me know what videos you want to see in the new year. My December reading wrap-up will be coming soon. I'll probably be filming that in the next couple of days. I just need to get a little bit better first. But yeah, I love you all. Bye, guys.